Welcome into Locked On Phillies. Garrett Stubbs plays hero on Wednesday. The Phils win the opener against the Nationals on Thursday in an offensive explosion, and we look forward to the rest of the series. A lot of catching up to do on today's Locked On Phillies.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, this is Locked On Phillies. I am your host, Connor Thomas. I want to thank you for making Locked On Phillies your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. I'm so happy to be your host. We've been talking Phillies baseball for years over on 97.5 The Fanatic. And man, this is one of the most fun times outside of that 2008 core that I've ever had being a Philadelphia Phillies fan. First, I want to tell you about our title sponsor for today. Today's episode is brought to you by Sports Card Investor. Download the Sports Card Investor app today and easily browse over 630,000 cards from every sport with hundreds more added each week. Available for free in the Google Play and Apple stores or Apple app stores rather, or go to sportscardinvestor.com/locked on. Now, a lot of catching up to do. The Phils, first off, we haven't recapped what happened with Garrett Stubbs on Wednesday and the Philadelphia Phillies. Let's jump into the series ender against the Marlins. They dropped Game 2 in awful fashion. And did I say faction? Awful fashion. But then what a finish to the game on Wednesday. A day game, a 1 o'clock start, which is why it's taken until now to get back to it. Just a little bit weird scheduling by the Phillies. And now we've got a day-night doubleheader from the Nationals on today, which is tomorrow rather, Friday, when this episode will be coming out. Just absolutely crazy scheduling, but the Phillies continue to win. Honestly, they were looking at a tough task against the Miami Marlins. No, they weren't. They were facing another, what was supposed to be a bullpen game. But Daniel Castano, who was starting for the Miami Marlins, well, he ended up looking more like Daniel Cy Young than he did Daniel Castano. Dude was absolutely dicing. He was unbelievable for Miami. Kyle Gibson was unbelievable for Philly. Just let's start, rather than going play-by-play, because only 3 runs were scored in the game, and 3 of them came by way of the last swing of the game. But just look at these dueling pitching lines. Let's start with Castano. He went 6 2/3, gave up 5 hits, but no runs, no earned, 2 walks, 3 Ks. He was just dancing out of danger all day. 105 pitches thrown. Then the Miami Marlins bullpen, well, they were fine up until the closer. The Phillies, a much cleaner line even than that. Kyle Gibson went 8 innings pitched, gave up 7 hits, only 1 run, 1 earned on a home run for the Miami Marlins. That home run off of the bat of Rojas, who was solid in this series. And then Connor Brogdon came in and held things down in the top of the ninth. An inning pitched, no hits, no runs, no earned, no walks, 2 Ks. Interesting performance by Brogdon with the closer role now up for grabs. Maybe he deserves a look at that spot, but that's not the big storyline of this game. Kyle Gibson is a storyline, but the greatest one, the Phillies are on the verge of being shut out. They have 2 outs. Garrett Stubbs is at the plate, and he has 2 strikes on him with runners on first and second. And after a battle of an at-bat, he's choking up. You can see him in the video. An absolute walk-off moonshot to right field off the lefty Stubbs. Lefty on lefty. He takes advantage of a hanging slider, what we call the cement mixer. Now, what that means, because Ricky Pitalico has mentioned that a couple times on the post-game show on NBC Sports Philadelphia. By the way, I'll be on NBC Sports Philadelphia later today. You can hear it when people talk, like analysts talk about baseball. What is the cement mixer? Well, we've got the baseball for you right here. So when you throw a breaking ball, I threw a slider, so I threw it like this, hand wrapped around right there, right on the seams, and you want to snap it off. And the ideal is the rotation causes the ball to move, whether it's cutting in and across, whether it's straight down like a 12-6, whether it's some combination of that, like coming across. But that's the type of movement you want to see on the ball. Sometimes what happens is you don't get enough spin rate on the ball. And what it'll do, now, you don't need a lot of spin rate to make a ball spin. Watch. Like if I just toss it, you can see it spinning there. Oh, I just hit my laptop. Got to be careful. But you can see it spinning. that doesn't mean it's going to break. And sometimes if you don't get enough spin rate, if it doesn't come out clean, if something happens for whatever reason, it can be a cement mixer, which is just meaning the ball is just spinning in place, but it's not dropping, it's not cutting, it's not doing anything. It's just spinning, it kind of loops in, hangs, and that's when you see a ball get put in the seats. Well, he got a cement mixer from Tanner Scott, and, well, he powered it deep into the right field seats. An absolute bomb by Garrett Stubbs. It's just a great at bat by him. And with JT Realmuto's struggles, man, he had an opportunity and he had himself a day. He had a double earlier in the game. Obviously didn't amount to anything because the Phillies had been shut out until their final at bat of the game. But what a celebration, too. I'm sure you've seen it by this point. But Stubbs spikes the bat, takes the helmet off, screams at the dugout. You see his hair flipping all over the place. And then he takes the helmet off and spikes it coming around third and jumps into the arms of his awaiting teammates as the Philadelphia Phillies win their fourth straight series. They take out the Miami Marlins in the most improbable way to win that ball game. It was just it was an incredible performance by Garrett Stubbs and resiliency by the Philadelphia Phillies. A couple great at-bats ahead of that went into it, one being JT Realmuto working a walk. He's in the middle of a slump. It would be easy for him to just give at bats away at the end of the game knowing you're down 1-0 and you've been in a slump, but he fights, he gets on, and he makes Miami have to face Stubbs, and Stubbs makes him pay. It's just – that was a game where it feels like the team has figured out how to win. It feels like this team is – the ball is bouncing their way. Sometimes, and it felt like that in game 2 with Rhys Hoskins just going yard twice and both in huge spots, made you feel like, okay, well, this is a team that's kind of destined to win these games. Like everything's going their way and they know it. Now, unfortunately, it didn't work out for them in game 2 because George Familia and Corey Knebel fell apart. But in this one, it did work out. And in this one, it was more of this team isn't dead until their final at bat. Earlier in the year, we're talking Joe Girardi era Phillies. If they got down 2 to 3 runs, it felt like the game was over. It's like, well, there's just nothing they could do. And not because the other teams weren't talented, just because this team didn't have the ability to put together clutch hits like that to win late games that they were down. It was a turn off the TV. This game's over. They're down a couple runs. Now it's, don't you touch that dial if they're down 7 or 8 or 9 or 10, because they're going to find a way back into this game and make it work and maybe even find a way to win it. And, man, that's what Stubbs did on Wednesday. Just great work by him. Great work by Kyle Gibson and Connor Brogdon on the mound to keep the Phillies at just a 1-run deficit so they could be in a position where they could strike in one inning, and strike they did. It also, the other thing that we haven't talked about really so far today, it kind of gives you that exercising the demons of the Miami Marlins type feeling. There needed to be dramatics. Like just beating the Marlins straight up, be like, okay, well, there's still kind of that we haven't played them all that well in total over the past couple of years. It felt like to do it and to really, really make it feel like the Phillies can beat the Marlins now, that they're not the boogeyman for them, if you will. They're kryptonite. There needed to be a dramatic win, and the series-ending walk-off 3-run home run is about as dramatic as it gets from Garrett Stubbs and the Philadelphia Phillies. So love it. I was losing my mind. I'm sure you were losing your mind. It was a great win. And you know what's even better than one great win? Well, following it up with the first game in Washington, a huge victory for the Philadelphia Phillies. A lot more to break down in that one because there was some run scoring for the Phillies on Thursday at, what are they calling that stadium? We'll just call it Nationals Park. I'm going to look that up when we get that all settled down. What stadium? They change these names so often, but great work by the Phillies in the opener against Washington. We'll break all of that down in the next segment in just a second. All right, I want to tell you about our title sponsor. Tell you a little bit more about Sports Card Investor. It's completely free. It's easy to browse, and there's over 630,000 cards from every sport available on Sports Card Investor. You can use the app. You can go online to sportscardinvestor.com/locked on. But, like, who doesn't love the feeling of going through a new pack of sports cards, baseball cards, football cards, basketball cards, hockey, finding rookies, finding signed cards, finding your favorite players, finding players from other teams that you hate so you can trade them away. There's so much fun stuff. And now you can do that completely online and make money doing it with Sports Card Investor. You can find the best prices and buy directly through the app with our eBay deals feature. Now, back in the day, it was just buy packs willy-nilly because you were a little kid and you just wanted your favorite players or stuff like that. Now, well, sports cards, millions of dollars of business in sports cards these days that are to be made, and you can jump in and make it as well. You could be a casual card collector where you're just looking for exciting alternative investment opportunities where it's just like, okay, I'm going to buy a Bryce Harper card. And when he wins his second straight MVP, I'm going to sell it. Maybe I bought it for $30 and I'm going to sell it for $35 after that. You could look at it and see a guy like, I don't know, who's a strong rookie right now? Adley Rutschman, top prospect in all of baseball, called up by the Orioles, just his first home run of his career the other day. You could get his card and hang on to it for a year or two when he wins like American League MVP in his third or fourth year or something like that, if you believe that's going to happen, and he's put Baltimore on the map. Well, that card you bought for, arbitrary numbers, $50 a day, maybe you could sell for $1,000 in a couple of years. It's such a great way to make money, and it's also fun to just live through the nostalgia of collecting the cards and doing all that. Do it with your family, do it with your kids. You can do it on your own to try and make extra money, but who doesn't love the idea of sports cards, seeing the players, seeing the stats on the back and everything like that, and the opportunity to make money? It's an awesome app. Definitely check it out. Download the Sports Card Investor app today. It's available for free in the Google Play and Apple App Stores, or go to sportscardinvestor.com/lockedon. Okay, let's recap Game 1 against the Washington Nationals. The Phils winning this one as well. They win so much, I got to fit 2 wins in one episode. But first, I've got an important favor to ask you. We put together a survey so we can learn more about listeners like you and make your favorite Locked On podcast even better. It's your opportunity to tell us what you like, what you don't like about Locked On Podcasts. So go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey right now to get started. It won't take very long, and you can qualify for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Ticketmaster gift cards. So to take our audience survey, again, go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey. Thank you, as always, for your help with that. Let's jump into, what we're talking about, the Washington Nationals, Philadelphia Phillies, Game 1. 5 games in Washington with a day-night doubleheader coming up on Friday. That'll be a heck of an episode after that one because we'll have 2 more games to recap with this weird scheduling. But let's jump into what happened in the game that we saw earlier today with the Washington Nationals and Philadelphia Phillies, and only one team really showed up. As I go through the play-by-play here on the ESPN box score, it's easy to tell what inning made the difference in this one. First inning, uneventful. Second inning, uneventful. And then in the top of the third, well, with a couple outs, a ground ball gets hit to our old friend Cesar Hernandez. Cesar Hernandez, of course, with the Phillies, known for having solid defense. All of that still the case, but just didn't work out very well for him in this one. Alec Bohm grounded out to third to start the inning. Matt Vierling fouled out to the shortstop and made a nice play going over there towards the line to make that catch. And then Jairo Munoz comes up and he just hits a ground ball. It was a hard hit ground ball right at second baseman Cesar Hernandez, who boots it. 2 outs, and now there's life. And do the Phillies capitalize? You bet they do. And who else would it be but the former Washington National and the hottest hitter in the month of June on the planet? Kyle Schwarber hits a 2-run homer to center field, 424 feet, an absolute nuke. Then, after a couple more hits, Nick Castellanos comes up and singles to left, scoring Rhys Hoskins, moving Bryce Harper, who had gotten on base, to third. J.T. Realmuto then reaches on an infield single to shortstop. That was a tough backhanded play that took the shortstop too far into the hole, beats it out. Bryce Harper scores. Nick Castellanos goes to second. Didi Gregorius then comes up and doubles to deep right. J.T. Realmuto and Nick Castellanos score it 6-0. And then Didi Gregorius scores on a fielding error. Alec Bohm safe at first. A ball that was thrown away on a PFP, and it's 7-0. And that was more than enough based on how Zach Wheeler was throwing in this one. But Patrick Corbin, unlucky there with the defense, but he still gave up all those runs. He's having a nightmare season. He started out so far 3-9 record-wise. He only went 3 1/3 innings in this one. Top of the fourth, Well, Kyle Schwarber comes up again, and he homers again. His second of the night. His 18th of the year to tie for the National League lead. It's 8-0 Phillies, and then Nick Castellanos with a double in the same inning scores Bryce Harper. It's 9-0. Just awesome. Awesome offense for the Philadelphia Phillies. The Nationals get one back in the bottom of the fourth with Josh Bell homering to center field. And then, well, a great moment. It's just, I had to take a second because this Phillies season has turned into somewhat of a storybook season. Like, things are going right for people you root for. The young guys coming up are making plays. Everything's bouncing their way. You make an error against the Phillies, they score 7 against you with 2 out. It's just, things are going their way right now, and it's the most improbable moment. This one, not necessarily totally improbable, but his first home run as a Philadelphia Philly in the top of the 8th. Jair Munoz homers to left field to make it a clean 10-1 for the Philadelphia Phillies. And that is how the score would end. Really, the players of the game, Kyle Schwarber, the biggest one with the 2 home runs, still absolutely on fire in the month of June. But listen to Zach Wheeler's stat line following up a strong start by Kyle Gibson in the final game against Miami. But Wheeler goes 7 innings, 4 hits, only 1 run, 1 earned on that home run to Josh Bell. No walks, 3 strikeouts, 86 pitches, get him out of there. Michael Kelly, who was called up for, why is it escaping me? Mickey Moniak. Yes, of course. Michael Kelly, who was called up, he got the opportunity to throw a little bit. 1 inning pitched, no hits, no runs, no earned. 1 walk, no Ks, no homers. And then Jose Alvarado went 1 inning, 1 hit, no runs, no earned, no walks, 2 strikeouts. And just like that, that's how you win a 10-1 ball game. Some of the numbers for the Phillies offensively in this one. Schwarber, of course, we mentioned 2 for 4. Hoskins with another hit, 1 for 4. Harper only went 1 for 4, but he scored 2 runs. Good work by him. Nick Castellanos was 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a walk. JT, 1 for 4, an RBI, a walk in this one. Starting to head in the right direction. Didi Gregorius, 2 for 3. He's been a huge part of this team. Bohm with a hit. Veerling with a hit. Munoz with a hit. That home run. It's just, this team, this is the offense we were expecting, and they're really, really putting it out there right now for us to watch. It's on full display. Now, the question in our final segment is going to be, can the Phillies do this over the course of the next 4 games, including a day-night doubleheader where we'll preview the rest of the National Series and look at the pitching matchups in the final segment, coming back right after this. And I'll tell you, if I think, well, is a 5-game sweep possible? I think it is. I'll explain why in just a second. All right, let me tell you a little bit about LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs is awesome. It's a great way to find hiring. As the sun comes back out, small businesses are back in business, and LinkedIn Jobs can make it easier for your small business to help find the people you want to interview faster, and the best part, for free. You can create a free job post in just minutes on LinkedIn Jobs, and you reach a network of over 810 million people. You can add the hashtag hiring frame to your profile, so when people visit it, they know you're hiring. And you can also use simple tools like screening questions and make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right experience, skills, all of that stuff, so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and who you'd like to hire. That's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs number 1, not 2, 3, 4, 5. No, number 1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors, because LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. I don't know if you know this, but nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn every single week. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonmlb. That's linkedin.com/lockedonmlb, and you can start reaching that audience. So you post it there for free. Terms and conditions do apply. I also want to tell you about Built Bar. Oh, there's a great new flavor that came out. You know, our friends at Built are always coming out with amazing new flavors. This time, Built has truly outdone themselves. They really have. They're introducing the new Mud Pie flavor, both in Mud Pie Bar and Mud Pie Puff. Okay, I know you're thinking, what in the world does Mud Pie taste like? Well, if you're a chocolate fan, you better sit down. I don't want you to pass out when you hear this. It's rich whipped cream and chocolate mousse smothered in 100% real chocolate and topped with cookies and cream crumble. That sounds amazing. That sounds like one of those fancy pants desserts that you get when you go out to a restaurant. But listen to this. Listen to some of the numbers available for the nutrition facts for this. 16 grams of protein in it, only 150 calories, 8 grams of sugar, only that much. It's like your mom baked the most deliciously creamy chocolate mud pie and wrapped it up just for you, and somehow found a way to make it to make it healthy too. It's healthy, it's tasty, it's great for you. You got to try it at Built Bar. They also have all of your favorite flavors that we've been talking about available, built.com. You got to go ahead and check it out. Order your box of puffs or bars, whatever you want to get. It's all great to help you get in shape for the summer. So go to built.com, use promo code LOCK15 and get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at built.com. Okay, we're wrapping up with a quick preview time. We're going to talk mainly about the pitching matchups because you've already seen what the Marlins, what the Nationals have lineup-wise. It's really Josh Bell, Juan Soto, not all that much else. Nelson Cruz as well, who could swing it a little bit for them. Very old at this point, but still churning along as one of the oldest players, if not the oldest player in baseball. He might be, but not all that much here for the Nationals, who are not a good baseball team, and there's a reason they're one of the worst teams in Major League Baseball. Here's how the matchups look for today's day-night doubleheader on the mound. Ranger Suarez goes in the first game, which I think is interesting. He gets the first, and the Phillies use the bullpen game in the second one. He will face off against, God bless this man so far this year, Joan Adon. I think I'm saying that right. Joan Adon. Here's why I haven't heard of him. 1, he's 23. 2, he's not really all that good. It's impressive almost how bad his record is so far this year. He's got a 6.95 ERA. He is 1-10 already record-wise. And I know wins and losses is not a great stat for the pitchers. It's not totally on them. But that's what the Nationals are dealing with starting this game against the Philadelphia Phillies. Game 2, you're seeing Paulo Espino, who's been better, a 2.08 ERA. But, I mean, not really a guy that you normally see in the starter role. He's a guy for the Nationals that, he's solid, but you're going to need more than that to beat the Philadelphia Phillies, I think, because of how talented this lineup is. He'll face off against Bailey Falter, though, who gets the spot start just like he has a couple times already this year. Game 4, which is Saturday at 4:35, it'll be Aaron Nola taking the mound for the visiting Philadelphia Phillies against Josiah Gray. Josiah Gray with a 4.33 ERA. Been pretty good for the Nationals this year, all things considered, but not as good as Aaron Nola as a pitcher. And then finally, in the series ender, well, you get Zach Eflin again against, let's try and pronounce this name, Jackson Tetreault. I think that is. It's either Tetreault or Tetreault. It sounds French. Here's a reason why I can't pronounce his name. He's 0-1 with a 15.75 ERA so far this year. You're facing a guy with an ERA over 15 in a Major League Baseball game starting in this series. This should be 4 more wins for the Philadelphia Phillies. The only game that I have any concern about is the second game of the doubleheader today with Bailey Falter on the mound against Paulo Espino. And even that, I'll take the Phillies lineup every day. Falter has been good in these opportunities so far this year. Could it be a 5-game sweep? Well, that would be huge for the Philadelphia Phillies, and it's certainly realistic. Only time will tell, but if that 10-1 win yesterday was any indication, yeah, they've got a real shot at it. That's all I've got for you on today's Locked On Phillies. Just recapping a bunch of stuff and getting you ready for a busy weekend of Philadelphia Phillies baseball with 4 games coming up in the next 3 days. So get ready, and hopefully it's 4 more wins. That's all I've got. I want to thank you, as always, for making Locked On Phillies your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Now, I also want you to check out the first picks of the Ultimate NBA Mock Draft. They've been made. You can search now for Ultimate NBA Mock Draft and get over 50 insiders, the Odyssey Sports experts, the draft experts of Locked On NBA Big Board, all of them are all checking in. The 5-episode Ultimate NBA Mock Draft is underway. Make Ultimate NBA Mock Draft your second listen today so you know what everyone's doing ahead of the upcoming NBA Draft just a couple of days away. It's awesome. Get your Sixers fix if you're also a Sixers fan, or if you like another NBA team. I don't know why you wouldn't be a Sixers fan. Actually, I do, but that's a different story for a different podcast. As far as Locked On Phillies concerned, though, I'm telling you to go listen to the Ultimate NBA Mock Draft. Get ready for that as well. That's all the time I got for you today. Hopefully 2 wins for the Phillies today. That would be nice. A lot of fun. and could be a fun weekend to be a Philadelphia Phillies fan for, the third weekend in a row? I'll absolutely take that. Thanks as always for listening, subscribing, rating, reviewing, all of that stuff you do to help Locked On Phillies keep on moving along. I really appreciate it. Now I got a jet, I got a TV performance, but I will talk to you all tomorrow.